Blessings, beloved. This particular section is for those of you who are wanting to connect with the grid systems or do grid work. Now, the new Earth grid systems have been established over the decades by light workers. It's a new thing, so it's not attached to the ley lines, although there are some juncture points where the sacred sites that attach the old grid system, the ley line system, are now becoming part of the new Earth grid system as kind of a gateway or a go-between between the old Earth grid system and the new Earth grid system. And because the magnetics are changing and the poles are shifting, the classic ley line system is also changing. So sometimes when you visit sacred sites, you're like, it doesn't feel the same. This is why. And right now I'm doing this video in 2017. There's a great acceleration going on right now. So a lot of people are interested in doing grid work. So let's get into it. So classic, this is Gaia. The blue circle here is Gaia, and this is the central sun that she is creating. Now, we've heard about Gaia creating this spiritual sun that she's transcending, ascending into this more solar spiritual sun type creation, which is exactly what we're doing. And she did ascend on the 12-12-12. So that has already been accomplished, and now we're moving the whole operation to the new Earth, to this level. And again, think of it not as something off planet, it's just an expansion of consciousness, a recreation of Gaia to return to a higher state of beingness, which is exactly what's going on with us, what's going on with the sun. Everything's being rewritten. So here at the core, we have the spiritual sun of Gaia, and she has the junction point, just like we do, in the center of the heart. And this line here, this purple line, is the grid, the part of the crystalline grid system. It has 3 layers. So the crystalline grid system is going to have the stuff that's underneath the ground. This blue line would be the ground line. See the person standing there? So that's you as grid worker standing on the planet. And there's all these ancient structures underneath the ground that are being activated right now. And it's things that were put in place by us, by ancient civilizations, in order to activate and assist for Gaia's ascension. You know, this ascension plan, this ascension path has been a multi-level operation, a multi-dimensional operation. It's resolving realities. It's doing all of this stuff through Gaia and our experience here. And now we're able to activate the stuff that we actually put in place for this particular juncture in our linear time. Earlier we talked about taking your future self, created all this stuff and had the forethought, you could project yourself down the timeline and go, oh, I see what's going to happen. Let's put all this stuff in place, and then the highest possibilities can get activated. And right now we're hitting the highest possibilities. You go back and you live it. Now we're running into ourselves and going, I remember. And grid workers travel around, let's say, sacred sites. Here's a mountain, the pyramids. And these are all getting activated through all the ley line grid systems for a while. Those got hijacked for a while. So then we're like, well, let's create this new Earth crystalline grid system to assist Gaia in her ascension. So Gaia and light workers were traveling all over the surface of the planet, planting crystals, opening gateways, and constantly connecting the spiritual sun that was emerging, that had been created, with this crystalline, this off-world grid system that's just like a big, looks like a big golden field of pure consciousness, or diamond field. It's very sparkly, and it's around the entire planet. So when you were doing your grid work, you were connecting up to the crystalline grid, as the central sun of Gaia, not the central sun of the universe, not the great central sun, but this central sun of Gaia was connecting with your own heart center, was connecting with the crystals that you were planting in the ground, and you were connecting it up to the crystalline grid. And then this is Solaris, the solar level, and you were merging and connecting and creating all these pathways. Like on the 12-12-12, when there were a whole bunch of grid workers and gatekeepers, we were catching those codes, and then we put them into the crystalline grid. So when Gaia made her ascension, this is the 3rd, 4th dimensional Earth, and when she's going to ascend, she's expanding out. The consciousness expands, and you have this other realm. A lot of you visiting that at this point in your journey, if you're taking that new earth journey, you're able to see it or you're experiencing it in your dreams. It's very much a very real creation. And this is where we're going. We're expanding our consciousness into this next experience, this new place. No light ship doesn't have to travel to new earth. It's just another level of consciousness. So if you're going to do grid work, you're going to be planting your crystals. Here's a crystal here. You're going to be planting your crystals in the ground, wherever you are guided to go. This is a heart-based operation. This is something you can do on your own property, on your own yard, anywhere in your neighborhood, anywhere on the planet, because the intentions of gatekeepers and grid workers right now is to connect every crystal placed by a light worker. And whether you're planting, I have native friends who plant peyote seeds, there's rocks, there's sacred circles, medicine wheels. It doesn't matter how you express it, but right now we're working with these crystals, especially Arkansas crystals, seem to have this very clear encodements for this particular activation that we're going through right now of raising the vibration, expanding out into this crystalline grid. The crystals, the very clear ones, or the Lemurians, are actually activating all this stuff from Lemuria, all of these things that were in place. So that's what we mean by doing grid work. You're traveling to either a bridging sacred site like Mount Shasta or Giza, something like that, a bridge site, or going and planting crystals everywhere to connect this giant new earth grid system, this crystalline grid system. So it's connecting to this band of light that's just around the spiritual sun of Gaia. It's connecting to the spiritual sun of Gaia, the inner crystalline grids, through all the hidden sacred sites and the things that are encoded in this includes the crystal beds, a lot of encodements in the crystal beds themselves. It doesn't mean that we didn't take all the encoded crystals out of the ground. There's stuff encoded into the aquifers, the crystal beds, the planetary consciousness herself, and then connecting it with your crystal and your intention and your heart. This is, also the gateway within the heart, but it has to be intention that you connect in that way. And you say, I open myself as a pure conduit, and vroom, it goes through the crystal, through the spiritual sun, through all these different encodements, through the crystal, through your own heart center, because you're standing over the crystal when you have the activation, and then up to the sun, galactic center, great central sun, all the way up to source. And this is what we mean by the crystal grid. It gives us amplification, and you can see that is a direct reflection of what we do when we activate our ascension column. It's a very good way to amplify your ascension column and expand it, working in this way, because when you say, I open myself as a pure conduit for this activity, you feel your fields opening, you feel the light, you feel Gaia respond. All this energy comes up through Gaia, through you, or down through source, through you, through the crystals, into Gaia. It's like this beautiful marriage of higher and lower, merging of higher and lower. And that's what we mean by working the grids or sending light to the grids. And after you have your crystals in the ground, you can then connect with them with your consciousness. Tap into where you have put your crystals and say, I tap into every crystal I've ever placed upon this planet, past, present, and future. Amplify the ascension. Accelerate the ascension for all. Always in the highest interest of all concerned. Let us have our ascension. Let us have our acceleration. Amplify, light up, purify, and divinitize all consciousness, all of creation in complete alignment with divinity, purity, divine cosmic mother, heavenly Father. All the masters invite everyone in. Thank you. So be it. And then you meditate in that space. Before you do your grid work, you're going to clear the land. I'll have written instructions below this video, clearing the land. Of course, your crystals have been intended with your pre-programmed with your intentions already. They've already been cleared and everything before you do the work, and that's in the instructions. You plant the crystals in the ground. You do your invocations. You meditate, you get in the space, then you open it, opening with a clockwise direction above the soil. Counterclockwise anchors down into the spiritual sun, and then up from here, because it makes a toroidal field. So after you're anchoring down into the spiritual sun, opening, and I would skip the counterclockwise altogether, because once if you're a skilled gatekeeper, you know how to do that. You know how to anchor things down in, but you can simply take your hand and go bam, connect to sorry, the energy. You connect to the core, anchor, crystal. The brothers and sisters deep within the planet ask you to anchor into the crystalline core of Gaia, and you shoot. Pull the light out down your arm, boom, into the spiritual sun, the crystalline core of Gaia. And then once you anchor it, everything after that is clockwise. Opening, 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 opening. And you feel it, and you pull it like a big tornado. Whoosh, a big spinning. It's DNA related. It's clockwise spinning up, up, up. And you raise it up through the ground. And then again, clockwise, connecting up, up, up. And if the directions confuse you, just point down and point up. It's that easy. Don't worry about the technical parts. Leave that up to the gatekeepers. Grid workers, all you have to do is then connect up, up, up to the crystalline grid, to the sun, galactic center, great central sun, back to source consciousness. And then, just like our energy fields, you create this giant column of light, and it creates a big toroidal field, spinning, and toroidal fields spin in both directions. That's why the technicalities of the counterclockwise and the clockwise, you're like, why both? Because it's counter-rotating fields with the toroidal field. I'm sure you understand that at this point in the class. So toroidal fields spinning, and you spin it open. And literally, with your consciousness, with your visualization, with your pure heart intention, spin open, 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 open. And it does it. And you'll be amazed, because as you spin this wider and wider, and you can walk all around where you've done the crystal, where you've placed the crystal, walk all around it, or sit there with your hands open again, this pointing down into the core, up to the heavens, this toward the heart, bam. And you're opening, 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 opening. This is it. Yeah, this is the gatekeeper. And opening, spinning open. And it's an elegant thing. You're not trying to control the planetary consciousness or yourself or the beings in that space. If you're one of these people who clears the grids, fine. If you're traveling around clearing the classic ley lines, that activity has been going on for decades. It's clearing, clearing, clearing. This is specific to the crystalline grid system that provides the bridge between this world and the next, between this world and the higher dimensional consciousness. And whatever number you want to put on this, 5th dimensional new earth, 5th density new earth, 9D, 12D, all the D, 15, whatever you want to call it, you can keep all of the mental gymnastics out of the picture and just say, raise the vibration, raise the frequency, raise all willing hearts into divine love. Raise the light of this planet and expand us out into that new creation of new earth, the crystalline earth. Call in the rays, the golden ray, the diamond ray, platinum rays, Christed rays, pure photonic light, pure photonic plasma. All of these things, whatever resonates with your heart, because it is about creativity. And no matter where you go on the planet, you become, when you do this and you practice this and you work with Gaia in this way, you will see the kingdoms recognize you. You will see the elementals recognize you. If you have the sight on, you'll go to sacred sites like myself. You go to the Grand Canyon. All these beings show up in the non-physical. All these beings show up and say, welcome. They always, higher beings, they always do the namaste before you get into anything. They always bow. Welcome. Welcome, dear gatekeeper. What are we playing with today? That kind of thing. So when you work with the planetary consciousness and dedicate yourself to this, you will notice the response. Not only that, but you'll find other light workers. All of a sudden you'll start recognizing each other and the star beings and the light ships and all that stuff. If you work at night, of course they're going to show up because you're creating a giant energy field. And don't doubt yourself and don't judge it. The crystalline grid system does not need to be cleared. It just needs to be amplified. The crystalline grid structures, these are all higher dimensional structures, and they have very higher dimensional geometries around them. It kind of looks like a Sri Yantra, but it's all made of octahedrons of gold and crystalline. But the base of it, when you first plant your crystal, you can draw a Vesica Pisces on the ground. Keep it clear. Keep it clear. The base of all sacred geometry is the Vesica Pisces. So if you're going to be birthing something with pure intent, use the Vesica Pisces. This is how we keep it completely in our higher dimensional self. This is a higher self activity. It's not something that's going to release souls from the ground, or that's not what we're talking about. We're strictly talking about amplifying the crystalline grid to make it easier for everyone. We're creating these bridges and these gateways, and the gateway of your own heart is the key. You go into this. Read the directions. This is good stuff, but you want to make sure that you go into it with an open heart and pure intention and divine neutrality. And yes, there's going to be beings who show up who are like, what are you doing? If you have vision and those giant beings or the guardians show up, the guardians, you have to put your heart on a platter and show it to the guardians. If you feel that you've met the guardians, a good check is, did they make you show your heart? Those are the big guys, the giant beings. Have to be at least 30 to 50 feet tall. They're huge. They look like a giant pillar with a head on the top. Can't really see a face. They're just these giant shining beings. But the first time that you meet them, if you interact this way, they will make you show your heart center, because they want to make sure that before they interact with you, your heart center is in the right place. So non-judgment. We're not going to fix the old planet any longer. There's nothing to fix down here any longer. She ascended. All we're doing is amplifying and clearing the way and making it as easy as possible for this timeline bifurcation, the division of the realities, to be as easy as possible, and to take as many people, as many brothers and sisters with us as we can. There's no judgment as to how long that takes, but this is the stuff. We're bringing love and light. That's why they call it light work. It is work. Look at us, traveling all over the place for decades. This is what we've been doing, people. This is what we're doing. We're getting into our complete embodiment of our Christed self. And when you get into that embodiment of the Christed self, service is it. This is it. That's it becomes you. Your service becomes you. Your highest expression of you in form. And forget what your higher self is doing, all different kinds of things. But let's just get this you in the body vehicle up to speed and start interacting with your higher self. Your higher self merges with you during this activity. Many levels and layers of your higher selves are going to merge with you, all the way up to 12, sometimes 15. But don't worry about that right now. If you want to do the good work and assist your grounded brothers and sisters in the planetary consciousness, because she has to, there's going to be some, shaky business as we do this, but we're making it as easy as possible for everyone, so that there's such a bombardment of complete divine love that people will be overwhelmed with joy and bliss and the new light and the things that we experience as willing participants in way showership. All the symptoms and everything become much easier for everybody who follows in our path. You're like a snowplow. You clear the way so that other people can drive right through. without any incident. That's what we're doing here. So I hope that this explains, again, spiritual sun, crystalline core of Gaia. This is what we're talking about. Activating the structures within Gaia, ancient sacred sites, Atlantean, Lemurian, civilizations even before that understood the timeline. Look at the Mayan calendar. Billions of years of history recorded. This is what we're talking about. And then you do the work on the surface. You constantly interact with the crystalline grid and the sun, expanding out, galactic center, great central sun, huge for gatekeepers, great central sun, center of the universe and source. And this continually expands your energy fields, light up, do the Christ light expansion when you're there, if you like a guided meditation, or open this and then let it be. Pure conduit. I open myself as a pure conduit for whatever is needed in this now moment, from the highest intentions of all concerned to the highest level that cosmic law will allow. So be it. Open. Keep your hands up and let it be. See what happens. It's very exciting. It's a very exciting thing. Feel it through the heart, feel it through your body, but more importantly, let the light do what it needs to do. Stay out of the way. Get the mind out of the way, the emotions out of the way. Beings show up. Thank you for watching. If you want to participate in this highest activity of the highest orders of light, so be it. If not, be gone. And just let them watch. If you have vision and beings show up, just let them watch. Because remember, often you are the larger being in the room. You're the larger being doing the good work. I hope that's helpful. I love you all so very much. And if you have any questions, look at the outline. It's a very detailed outline of how to interact with the new Earth crystalline grid systems. Blessings.